Hey YouTube, it's Magician34. I've got a little bit more casual deck for you. As we get closer to Nationals, and especially in the kind of environment we're in right now, this metagame, it's pretty intense, it's aggressive. The game's getting really serious right now, and so I think every now and then it's kind of nice to relax and look at the more casual side of the game. This is a casual deck. It's not very well tested yet. It's more of a concept deck. What I want all of you to do with this is kind of take it as an idea. This is a platform for you to build your own variation on. It's a Dark Magician Girl deck, but it's more of an aggressive, physical, just a beatdown deck. In like 1 or 2 turns, you just deal a tremendous amount of damage with attacks. And it incorporates some other fun cards too. So here's the basic deck. Runs 2 copies of Dark Magician Girl. After some light testing, I found that 3 wasn't really as good. They stacked up in my hand a bit, so 2 Dark Magician Girls. 3 copies of Skilled Dark Magician. He's a really solid monster, attack and defense-wise. Pretty big still, even in this format where we got a lot of big monsters that come out. 19 still pretty solid. Another guy who's always pretty tech, but runs very well main deck here is Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. Good 4-star, and his abilities are quite solid. 3 Magical Exemplar. We got plenty of ways to abuse her. We got some 2-star targets, even a 3-star, and certainly plenty of 4-star targets for her. So she's a good Battle-Lock style monster who can occasionally get you some more firepower on the field. 1 copy of Lila. She's a good solid Spellcaster. Putting Spellcasters in the grave helps 1 other card in this deck, and yeah, she's just a good special summon. Breaker. Another one of, you can search him, but generally speaking, he's just one you want to drop out of your hand. 2 copies of Flambeau Magician. We have plenty of ways to special summon monsters, and we also run Summoner Monk, who we're about to get to. These guys are just good solid picks, and we do run Magician's Circle, which this combos well with. 1 copy of Knights and Sorcerer. He, of course, obviously goes really well with Exemplar over here. But he also has a great special summon off Circle and whatnot, so. And 1300 is pretty solid for attacks. And he helps you tune. We do have 1 copy of Injection Fairy Lily, an awesome target for Magician's Circle to deal some heavy damage, and also goes very well with Magical Dimension. So. We also have Summoner Monk right here. His applications are pretty obvious. He's a little bit slower, but he can set you up for a lot of power on later turns. Last monster in the deck is mainly here for Magical Dimension, but you can tribute into her. She's real cool in this deck. Ice Queen. I've been looking for ways to use her. She resembles D-Mawk in a lot of ways, although she's a little bit bigger at 2900 attack. So I think since it's a casual deck anyway, she's one of the best things you can drop out with Magical Dimension. I thought, why not? So 2 copies of Ice Queen, you'll find she's pretty awesome with Dimension, although it's the main way you're ever going to get her out. But yeah. Heavy Storm, obviously, if you're trying to aggressively push your opponent on a regular basis, and need lots of MT destruction. True Nade, you mostly run quick play spells and whatnot anyway, very few traps, so no problem with True Nade. It's a good field cleaner that gives you that 1 turn of heavy aggression, MST. Fits along that same line. Allure of Darkness, a little bit of draw power, you got enough darks, you should be able to apply that pretty easily. Brain Control. If you're trying to make big aggressive pushes, Brain Control certainly measures up, gets rid of things like Stardust. 3 copies of Book of Moon, disrupts your opponent's big plays like Synchros, and also makes a lot of monsters small enough, because of their defense stat, to just run over in battle with a lot of your 4-stars. So, good fit there. This version's only running 1 knock, but you might want to consider 2, depending on what your meta is. Stops a lot of stuff, obviously, good first turn play against stuff like Spy and Raikou. And of course, super nimble Mega Hamster, too. 3 copies of Magical Dimension. Play this as a combat trick if you can. Once you attack with a monster, you can sack it off, blow away another monster on your opponent's side of the field, and special summon something like Dark Magician Girl or Ice Queen from your hand. So it helps you cheat a lot of damage into play, essentially. You are going to run 2 copies of My Body as a Shield. It's your main answer to Bottomless Trap Hole and other cards like that. So really useful, and there are lots of other destroy effects naturally that this works on. Careful with that Injection Fairy Lily, though. Okay, you also have 3 copies of Magician's Circle. Lets you pile on the damage. Most decks either don't have many Spellcasters or have pretty weak ones you should be able to run over, because you have much bigger ones. It's also a great way to use Kaiku. Sort of surprise people, because it'll often give them the attack mode monster that Kaiku can run over to deal the damage to remove stuff in their grave. And if not, then you can still hit him in the head. It's a great way to get DM Girl. So, very solid card, actually. Call of the Haunted, plenty of stuff we want to bring out of the grave. Can't use it on Ice Queen, but just about everybody else is fair game. Once again, just pounds more damage in. And last but not least, 2 copies of Phoenix Wingwind Blast. Gets rid of almost every monster in the format, and can be used at end phase to take care of back rows if you need to. So, a versatile card, and can also pitch Spellcasters into your grave for Ice Queen. So, good choice there. I'm going to run through a potential extra deck you could be using for this. You can change it around for your own preferences. Explosive Magician, I don't think he's really that useful, so we're skipping him. But anyway, 2 copies of Stardust Dragon. Red Dragon Archfiend. 8 stars is going to be one of your more frequent numbers you're sinking for. 2 Colossal Fighters. Just because it's a Spellcaster deck doesn't mean you can't use that big warrior. Thought Ruler Archfiend. Still a pretty useful guy. Black Rose Dragon. Arcanite Magician, naturally. X-Saber Urbellum, when he hits, when he's actually going to be using his effect, he's very good. Not as good under a lot of other circumstances, but when the time is right, hey, you're glad you had him. Goya Guardian. Bryanak, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Flambeau Roquizas, good way to put some pressure on and take care of set monsters. Tempest Magician, it's always the lethal damage swing when their life points are low. Magical Android, and last but not least, of course, Ally of Justice Cataster. Okay, so that's the deck, and like I say, this is really meant to kind of give you an idea of something you can build yourself, and I may be posting a follow-up to this if I tinker with it in the next few weeks and find a variant I like. So anyway, that's the deck. That's your casual Dark Magician Girl Spellcaster aggro deck, and until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.